Hello, we are back here at the Portfolio and at the Tech Day. My name is Daniel Wischewicz, Director of Communications. We are live for the first time at Facebook, and I have Stephan Schulz with me, who is our Chief Technical Officer, our CTO.
Yeah.
And we have a special day today because we have the Portfolio Day and the Tech Day together under one roof, and we have some workshops at the Tech Day. So maybe you can tell us what it is about. What workshops do we have?
Yeah, I'm really happy to be honest to have such a good list of tracks that we have today. So we divided them mainly in two parts. So as a really heavy infrastructure track, where for example right now Sascha Möllering from AWS is talking about microservices in AWS. And directly afterwards,
AWS is Amazon Web Services.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
Techies know that, you know. But on the other hand, directly afterwards, we have somebody from Google here talking about Kubernetes, the Docker orchestration service. And directly afterwards, even another jump on that, one of our ventures, Loopline Systems, will tell us about their journey of migrating to microservices on a Docker and Kubernetes cluster, which is really, really highly interesting. In parallel to that, there are also a couple of really interesting front-end talks. So Stephan from Contentful right now tell us about how to decrease your conversion rate, not to somehow address or let people really decrease it, but more to give some kind of ideas how to prevent that decrease actually. And afterwards, Christian Höpfner from Project A itself will speak, and he will tell about us what component-based architectures. So going away from we have a one-pager stuff, but really having a site composed out of multiple items. After lunch break, or questions to that so far?
Yeah, I'm just proud that we have so many tracks and that we have so many themes.
Yeah.
And the question I have is, and I would be happy if you can answer it. It's so important to exchange knowledge. And therefore we are exchanging the knowledge we have with people coming here from Google and AWS and from other companies. Maybe you can explain us why is it important, because we believe that it's not good to like be a gatekeeper and what we know we don't share with others. Why is it so important to share knowledge?
I mean, every developer has been in a situation where he's in the sitting in front of his code or his application or his task he needs to do and have no idea or no real idea how to do it, or that he needs some kind of challenge, whether to see, okay, is my approach of how to solve a problem really a good one? And by how does he actually solve it? By talking to other people. And this is what we do here. So he will talk to other people saying, hey, I have this and this problems, and that others will give him maybe answers or point him into the right direction, or saying, hey, maybe use that technological approach to solve the problem. And this is what we're doing here. By getting experts from different areas, we somehow extend the view of our developers, and not just of our developers, but also of our venture developers, and of course also of the wildcards that we draw. And we have some externals here, like mentioned in the keynote. And that's my reason to believe in group knowledge. So you can be an expert, but a group of experts or future experts is much more smarter than just a single person. That's
Absolutely.
How we exchange knowledge.
What do you expect to learn today, or what do you hope for to learn today?
That's a really good question. I think the first thing that I learned is that organizing such a day is not the easiest task. Unfortunately, it's not possible to automate that. This is something that I learned. But on the other hand, I'm really highly interested in the talks about Kubernetes. But also after lunch, we have talks about machine learning. Also from Google, having some guys here seeing a real use case with a startup that actually did machine learning. So I'm really highly interested in that. But also, and there are two hearts beating in my breast. It's about machine learning on the one hand. On the other side, it's also really super impressive to see what happened in the front end. So we will see a talk about progressive web apps, for example. So I'm not really sure what I will see, but I know that I will learn a lot about the stuff, at least the ones that I mentioned.
You mentioned one word quite often, what's common in tech scene, it's Kubernetes. The first time I came in touch with Kubernetes was while talking with you like a month ago, and you told me about it. Maybe you can explain what Kubernetes is and why we are talking so much here at our Tech Day about it.
One of the requirements that developers or engineers in general have is they want to build a scalable application on the one hand, and on the other hand, they also want to build a sustainable application. Kubernetes is an orchestration layer for Docker containers, and Docker containers is like, you can imagine like that bottle. So if that bottle is a Docker container, we have something that is application, which is a water in our case, is inside. I can just take the bottle and put it to somewhere, and if I want to run that application, I put it on a Kubernetes cluster. And if you are right now in the Kubernetes cluster, maybe you just give me your hands. You have 2 infrastructure parts below, and then I say, hey, Kubernetes cluster, please distribute that stuff, and I don't want to have only 1 part of the application running, but maybe 10. I give it to you. What would you do is just copy that 10 times, then run it. Exactly, and then you somewhere came at the point and say, oh, I don't have enough infrastructure power, enough hands. And then you would say to your infrastructure, please give me more, would include that, and then you would be able to somehow balance that. So that's really easy.
Okay, and that was not possible before, or was it more difficult without Kubernetes?
It is more difficult. I mean, building applications that scale in a horizontal way is something that we do since years. This is not a new idea. And the really interesting part behind Kubernetes is that it takes over a lot of stuff that you normally do manually. So in theory, you just give it a container or a container image and say, please provide me that container 10 times, and then it automatically distributes that container about the existing infrastructure or the cluster behind. And in former times, we would have done that manually. Right now, it's more or less task of a deployment to spin up that stuff, and then you're more or less
sounds kind of magic because it's time saving and fast. Is it?
It is. On the one hand, it's really magic because Kubernetes take care about really a lot of stuff, also like routing, bringing down containers, spinning up new ones, distributing them. On the other hand, of course, there's also some kind of configuration, and there we come into the direction of DevOps. So in former times, you had something like developers developing an application, and then you had ops running that application. This is no real news, but since some years, these both areas are somehow melting together, so that you have persons which are able to build applications on the one hand, to run applications on the other hand, but especially to build the infrastructure part in a programmatic way. So developing infrastructure or coding infrastructure finally. And this is then when we come to DevOps, which is also, of course, a hot topic in our area.
Another thing that you mentioned is front end, also taking a huge part of our tracks, of our workshops. And is my impression right that front end is going to become more and more important?
Absolutely. I mean, front end is nearly everything. Okay, front end guys or back end guys will prove me wrong. So front end is an essential part of the web itself. I mean, the most things that we do as a person is to interact with the front end, to see something, to click something. And what we expect from that is, on the one hand, really good performance, good usability. And if I remember, let's say 5 years ago, pages were more or less built with something like a jQuery. jQuery was state of the art. Right now, it's more really developing into a direction where you say you compose front-end pages out of a single-page application, like using React.js, a Vue, or something like that, or building your front-end from component-based stuff. So you say, okay, we have one button, in particular layouts, but in the general, or in the very end, it's one button. And this is used on every part of the page, which allows you to be consistent in design and layout, which is also important.
And it's faster, I guess.
And it's faster, and especially front-end is really heading into a direction of, I mean, front-end 5 years ago, it was writing JavaScript stuff. Today you have a transpiler, you have a whole tool chain of tools that you actually use to minimize your content, to minimize JS files, CSS files, all these things. So develop quite fast, and you will do more and more stuff in the future with that. And that's why it's super important to also have a strong front-end direction and not just concentrating on the back end. I mean, front-end is what we as a user experience. And so...
And see.
Exactly. And of course, what is also pointing to the direction of conversion rate, for example. I mean, there are different studies saying, okay, increasing performance by X% will also increase your conversion rate by X%. So Amazon did a lot of stuff in that direction.
Yeah.
So front end is.
We're also going to have a podcast quite soon on how front end is impacting business. So how it is improving business, or how is it possible to damage, as you've been also mentioning.
Yeah.
What tracks or what workshops do we have on front end more concrete today here at our Tech Day?
Yeah. So one of them I already mentioned. It's about the conversion rate decreasing. So how should I actually decrease my conversion rate, or what must I do to decrease it, and then of course do the opposite.
Yeah.
We have that component-based stuff from Christian Höpfner that I mentioned. We also have talks from Radimir and also from Christian Hönger talking about Webpack and also about front-end performance and how actually users perceive the front-end performance. Because just delivering the site really fast does not mean that the user also perceives the site really fast, because there's a lot of magic happening behind that really then makes a site also being snappy and super fast in the user experience.
It's also content, by the way, and communications, how you deliver the message.
I mean, in today's world, everybody wants to have all information as fast as possible. And so
and as easy,
front end and as easy,
consumable as possible.
Absolutely. And so front end is actively pushing that and decreasing latencies, render times and stuff. Decreasing render times like that. And so, I mean, this is what we see. It's front end. Yeah.
My last question: when this day is over, what do you hope this evening? Of course, I already asked you what do you hope to learn, but what is it? What feeling do you hope to go home? Oh no, we're going to have a party. But what feeling do you hope to have then?
That's a really good question. If I could wish for something, I would love if people say, hey, we have been at the Project A Tech Day or Portfolio Day, and we saw a lot of interesting talks. We learned a lot of stuff. We connected with each other and exchanged knowledge and experience. And this is, if people go out with that feeling, inspirations also, of course, I mean, seeing what is possible today. Because sometimes you're somewhat stuck in a legacy environment and say, okay, wow, this is really interesting, I would love to do that, and then you may start to do it just in your private home at the very first time, but then you will transport that stuff to your company also. I mean, if this is happening, I mean, the best thing that can actually happen in total. So if that happens, I'm super excited and also relaxed, and then we do it also next day, next year.
Next year. I'm inspired by the talk I had with you now. I'm also going to visit some workshops at the Tech Day, although I'm really not a techie.
Yeah, I hope so.
And this is something I'm really looking forward to learn things here, to exchange knowledge and to be inspired, especially by guys who are not working in communications, what's like my business, but at the first place, people who do things that I don't do because it inspires me also in my work. I'm sure we're going to have some inspiration.
Absolutely.
What workshops are you going to watch maybe and visit?
Let's see, depending on my time. I will for sure join the journey of loop line systems to Kubernetes. And I also hope and love to see the machine learning talks from the Google guys. It would be hopefully quite inspiring. One thing that I would like to add, if you say you're going to the tech talks, and in general this is more something I would advise to everybody, listen to what you're hearing and especially ask. I mean, you need to understand stuff, and there are mostly a lot of people in the audience saying, okay, I got that, but I have some question, but I'm not really, maybe I'm a little bit too shy or whatever to ask, and I would love if there were many questions, because then people also start to think about that stuff and question it actually, and this is also a really nice outcome of that.
I'm going to test it, I'm going to ask things, and people will recognize immediately this is not a tech guy.
Yeah, but I mean, we say, okay, you have a tech audience, but they must be prepared for it. And if there is no easy answer for a question, then maybe there's also something wrong.
Right. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
I'm enjoying it, and I enjoyed it talking to you, Stephan. We are going to talk to Uwe Horstmann in a few minutes, talking about the portfolio and the Tech Day. So stay tuned, and we are also going to inform you about the workshops we are going to stream. It will be about content marketing and about brand building, so stay tuned. Thank you so much, Stephan.
Welcome.